Hey, okay, so this is going to be episode 17 of my solo Edge of the Empire campaign here. And when we last left, I was just going to come back to our recaps here because this was a few weeks ago. When did I last get a chance to do this? The first. 19 days ago. Today's the 20th of January. So, we kind of started up a new adventure, which I allowed for some randomization as to what was going to happen there. So when we, sorry, I realize I haven't got any of I haven't got my binder out yet. So when we started up again, I just kind of made some random rolls as to kind of what was going on. I just created a random event, basically to start things off, and so this takes place a few months later. Jax is actually transporting a legitimate cargo for a traveling carnival operator by the name of Helman Chang. He's got dozens of crates transporting from the inner rim to the outer rim, specifically Ariadu. Jax currently... the entire session mostly was a fight, so Jax is unloading the cargo when he's interrupted by thugs that are working for one of Helman's rivals. We don't know anything about him, or about his rivals, this rival or whatever. We don't know too much about Helman, really, aside from he has a traveling carnival. Jax was bringing his stuff here. Basically, three thugs kind of entered the docking bay and started fighting with Jax. Jax managed to lay out two of them before the last one knocked him out. When he wakes up, he's got Helman standing over him, kind of slapping him in the face. Jax is all beaten and bruised. The crates that Jax had been transporting have all been torn open, dumped, and according to Helman, all his most valuable items are now missing. They've been stolen. He's pretty upset, and he's like, "I'm not paying you for this. Forget it." However, even as Jack's kind of arguing that, hey, this was just a legitimate, transportation. You didn't pay for any protection service. I was not. There wasn't supposed to be any issues here. This isn't a smuggling job. Doesn't matter. Helman saying he's not paying, and he leaves Jax. Jax kind of, lying on the floor kind of thing, and he's picking himself up. And I'm thinking, how much time goes by before we kind of move on to our next, our next thing here? I'm going to just roll a d6 here, call it this many days. And this time, let's actually aim for the dice tray. 5 days later. Okay. Now, between sessions, I started kind of thinking about this. Do I want this to just kind of be like a one-off thing, and that was it? It was something that went wrong. Now Jack's looking for another smuggling job, and I was like, did Jax care about all of this? He was beaten and robbed. Not only did it kind of screw up his job, it kind of screwed up whatever pay was coming, which would have been light, just due to the fact that it was, legitimate cargo. But because of all that, I figured, yeah, Jax does care, about this, and he wants to know who robbed him, kind of what's the beef with Helman, maybe he can get some, maybe he can kind of earn some some credits back or whatever by seeing what they have worth stealing, and then maybe turn around and selling that on the black market to the high bidder kind of thing. Seems like a good way to get even. The other thing that was rolling around in my head is that this lone wolf thing is not working well for Jax. I think Jax realizes it. He really needs a partner, preferably someone who can fight a little bit better than he can. So like a hired gun or a bounty hunter or something would be really handy. Somebody to do jobs with him and go along on the driftwood. Even when he had Kay was not really, she didn't do anything. We never really explored enough of Kay. But she's kind of been written right out now. I don't think I took her off the... No, I did. No, I didn't. Although I can update that. Former co-pilot. Basically, that's kind of what she is now, right? She's the former co-pilot. I didn't take her off the adventure list, but that's something I may consider later on. Or we can return to, the Forest Moon at some point. So, having someone to kind of back him up in a fight, having someone that he can, that can help with smuggling jobs, as well as if we kind of end up with a hired gun or bounty hunter type, maybe that can open up some additional avenues for work. And I realize my zoom needs to be pinned to the top here. There we go, better. So if we do that, then, you know, it maybe opens up a few more interesting elements to the game as well. But I'm thinking, so 5 days later, and my thought is, my thoughts are that Jax is probably now probably finding his way to a cantina to start asking questions. Now, I do need to check something quickly. And I forget how healing works in Edge of the Empire. I know I just kind of went through this a few sessions ago. Jax tends to get himself beaten up every few sessions. And so we're just going to kind of open this up here. Healing 219. How does natural healing work? Natural rest. For each full night's rest, the character recovers 1 wound. Yeah, okay. The end of each full night's rest, you can recover a resilience check to recover 1 critical injury. We never did assign a critical injury to Jax, even though he probably should have had one. So it's 5 days later. Okay, well, I don't think you can ever be brought to below 0. So, 5 days later, natural healing, we'll just call it that. At the same time, so Jax, I'm also thinking Jax will spend some money on stim packs here. I need to double check the cost because I think they were 25 or 50 credits or something like that, but I need to make sure. Stim pack. Page 177. That's how they work. Now, the cost for them. Here we go. Medical stim pack. 25 credits a piece. So, I'm going to go with buying 2, but we're going to use 1 right away, alright? We're going to do this. Got 2 stim packs. We're going to use 1 right away. That'll actually bump his healing just that little bit more. He's still kind of bruised. He's still, you know, maybe got some, you know, maybe kind of like a little bit of the remainder of like a black eye or something, but he's feeling a lot better after this. And so a few days later, 5 days later specifically, we're going to kind of get to this and figure out whether this is actually what happens here. So I need my dice. My table or my desk here is kind of exploded with more stuff of different hobbies. My cameras ended up migrating here. Even the office space around me, you can't see it, but more musical instruments have migrated in here, and this is already a very crowded space that really needs to be cleaned up. Let's see here. So, where was I here? We're going to go to this. So, I believe he's going to be in the local cantina. That is what I'm expecting for today. We're going to test the scene. Now, we get a chaos factor of 8. Yeah. 9! It's going to go off as expected. Cool. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to flip back to my Womp Rats tables here. Does it have a... Cantina names? Let's do that. 5. So pirate 3 and 2. Pirate Moondust. We're going to do this. We're going to call it the Moondust Pirate. There you go. There's the cantina. Alright, so in a cantina named the Moondust Pirate on Ariadu. Actually, let's bring up Wikipedia quickly here. We'll bring up Ariadu. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that the way that it's expected, but good. What's our main city? Ariadu City is the main city here. So we're gonna say that's actually there we go. I just like to keep track of things, and again, I don't know. I guess the reason I post these things to YouTube is not so much to get a following or really entertain people necessarily, but for anyone curious as to how I'm doing this or how somebody might go about, running their own solo RPG and what the thought process is and what the actual mechanical processes are. I kind of hope this helps at some point, even if it helps one person. Maybe it's worth making a fool of myself by posting to YouTube. Okay, so Jack's and also one other thing that I noticed, is that I also take copious amounts of notes, and sometimes when I don't need to, I'm going to try to cut back on that. I don't want the blow-by-blows anymore of like back here. This is just a blow-by-blow of the entirety of the of the fight between Jax and those three thugs. All right, so Jax sits at the bar with an ale in front of him. There we go. He's talking to someone. Who's he talking to? Let's see here. Do we have... Is there a race or a species chart somewhere in here? Don't know if Womprats has a species chart. It does have a species chart. Let's try that. So D6 and D6. We got 4 and 6. Cool. 4, 6. He's speaking to a Doug. I'm going to move over to Oon, and we're going to find out a little bit about this Doug that he's speaking to. Here's kind of the element, part of the elements of solo play that kind of makes me feel like I'm not... if you're watching these, you may notice sometimes I'm probably getting a little like winded or whatever because I'm trying to talk so fast and move things along. But this isn't really like a typical, group RPG. I don't have anybody riffing off of what I'm saying or having anything back. So I really need to calm down, slow down, and just let things happen. If all I do is during a session is have Jax speak to a Doug and learn a little bit about Ariadu, that's fine. But let's find out about this Doug. Alright. First of all, our Doug's in the core book of Edge of the Empire. Don't believe so. Okay. Let's find out a little bit about this Doug. First of all, we need a name. Just going to use... Let's see here. Doug names, fantasy name generator. let's see here. Let's go with Trossix. Quilwer. Doug. Okay. Let's see what he is here. So let's check some percentile dice here. So we'll roll these table. So I'm using un and using the NPC modifier and then noun. 67 is plebeian. Okay, and the noun is going to be 25. Hermit. Awesome. I'm not going to worry about power level. He's a hermit living here on Ariadu. Okay, why? Motivations. The verb is going to be 49. So implement. The noun is going to be 81. Implement advice. All right. So, okay. Here we go. Trossix is an old Doug who likes to solve the problems of the galaxy all by himself, right? You know, I used to had a family friend for most of my life, yeah, who especially as when he retired, he and his friends would sit out at Tim Hortons and have coffee and solve the problems of the world, right? That's what Trossix does too. But instead of having coffee, Trossix sits at the Moondust Pirate, which I'm spelling wrong again here. All right, let's see here. All right, so that's kind of kicks things off a little bit. We know a little bit about Trossix. Don't know what he did in his life before, you know, becoming a hermit on Ariadu, how he even came here. And it may not even matter. But Jax is engaged in a conversation with Trossix about Ariadu and about his problems with as a cargo hauler. He does logistics. So Jax is there telling him about the troubles a few days ago, and he's still healing from the beating he received. And he's looking at Trossix sitting there on a stool, and the little Doug is sitting there next to him. You know, I almost kind of picture like he's got like a white scruff of a goatee or something, you know. And he's reaching up and he's kind of sipping from, you know, some kind of a dark hard liquor. And Jax looks over at him and he goes, "Yeah, I tell you, it was bad. I took quite the beating. Lost an entire paycheck thanks to these guys." Does Trossix does he maybe know who these guys are? So we're looking at a chaos factor of 8. I'm going to say 50-50 as to whether he has any clue. That's a 13. 13 is actually an extreme yes, an exceptional yes. In fact, Trossix knows the thugs personally. And there you go. So Trossix is like, you know, saying, "Yes, I know them. They come here for drinks. They buy me drinks and listen to my stories. They work for..." Who do they work for? The thugs work for... Let's go, if I can get back here to Womp Rats. Let's do that. I found my Womp Rats again. Roll on species. 4, 3. They work for a Togruta. Which one's a Togruta? My... Oh, yes, of course. Actually, I guess what I also should be doing, this just only because this kind of bugs me. After a while, let's... Just makes it easier to kind of also come back and find things. Togruta, male or female? Male? Is he male? Is he male? 79. So I'm pretty sure is a yes. No, it's female. Female Togruta. Try to do another random name here if we can. Go. Luswo Urbe. Sure, why not? Alright, so the question is, what does he know about Luswo? Again, we'll turn to Yoon here. Luswo Urbe. Just make sure I specify. I never bothered to check with him. I just kind of went with male. Togruta. Okay, back to Un. The modifier here is going to be 69. Nice. Pious. Interesting. And the noun, 71. It says patriarch, but I'm going to call that I'm going to change that to matriarch. Do we have a cult leader? I think that's what we've got. Maybe we can kind of check the motivations here. If you can hear that, that's my dog Basil in the background. He's not happy that I'm ignoring him. Check the motivation verb here. 71. Steal. Ah, interesting. And the noun. 66. Steal wrath. Alright. Yeah. Luswo is a local cult leader. Absolutely. Yeah, okay, so Steel Wrath, okay, who targets the young, angry destitutes on Ariadu to join his to join his flock, so to speak. He uses them. What does he use them for? Or she, I should say. She uses them. Steal is in there, and I think that's what we need to do. Where she uses them to steal items of value in Ariadu City, but also across the planet. That's good. So there we go. We got kind of like a little cult leader, and now we have a better idea. Like she's stealing things. So I'm thinking. All right. So here we go. So I'm thinking our buddy Hellman, our crappy client Hellman, possibly kind of ran afoul of her sometimes. In fact, I'm not going to check on that. I'm just going to say Hellman ran as dealing, and she has been targeting his supplies. Maybe that's why someone used a third party to transport. Yeah. His cargo. I'm thinking that's about right. I need to pause a second here to deal with my dog. Okay, back to it here. So we've got some ideas. That's all. Yeah. All right. So through discussions with Doug here, how much is Jax really going to learn about Trossix? About Luswo from Trossix. I think he learns a little bit about the Trossix. Like, he runs a small cult here. Brings in the young and poor. They steal items of value known by authorities. Yeah, they are. Yes, they very much so. How in the world did I become their target? You worked for the carnival operator. So is that right? My assumption here, is it correct? 50-50 we'll call it. That's an 80. That is wrong. No. My assumption here is not correct. No, that's not what happened. Instead, the Doug starts to tell a story. No, the carnival operator was a acolyte, I believe they called them there. He was part of the cult and escaped, and Luswo has been very upset about that since. Yeah, okay. She would definitely steal anything he brought to Ariadu. Alright, now we have a better idea here. Alright, so looks like I need to have a talk with Hellman again about this. So he knew he was putting me in danger. There we go. So now we also have a little bit more information there. So Hellman then knew there we go. So now Jax has another reason to kind of, you know what? Now Jax, I think, is a little more annoyed at Hellman because Hellman put him in danger specifically, and then screwed him over for his pay when things didn't go so well. Jax ends up ordering another round of drinks. This one's on me. Pays for Trossix's drink. And now he's got somewhere else to be. Okay. Shift on here. We're going to come to the end of the scene. Our next scene, we're going to set up to be scene 34. I think we were in good shape there. Drop the chaos factor at 7. We're going to come over here. Drop the chaos factor to 7. Scene 34 we'll get to here in a second. But we better do end of scene stuff. So end of scene stuff, we have not... actually, we've kind of created a new thread. Investigate Luswo's cult. And I think we have to add Hellman. I need to double check on some names here. Chang. There we go. Hellman Chang. And we're going to have to add... So I'm going to do this a little bit easier. We'll just copy. Well, let's actually kind of just do this. We'll go Carnival Operator. Luswo is a cultist. Yeah, okay, we've kind of ended up with some interesting weird shit there. Okay, cool. We're still recording here. What's our next? What's our next scene? Um, our next scene. So, do we go after Hellman or we go? Luswo's probably not going to help. So, I'm thinking we're going to be dealing with Hellman. Thinking we're going to the carnival here. Right? Okay, let's test that. D10, chaos factor is 7. I just threw my die right out. We're going to reroll that here. I don't know what it was. 2. Absolutely, this is going to be something. I always need to come back to this and double check things while I'm dealing with this. 2 is an interrupt scene. Interrupt scene. So no, we're not going to be visiting the carnival. That might come later. There's a good chance that'll come in the next scene, so we're going to push that probably to scene 35. Okay, complete interrupt scene. Our interrupt scene with a random event here. Okay, let's check our random event. Alright, percentile 37. NPC action. So let's just do it this way. So an NPC action. Your PC is waiting on the actions of NPCs to move the adventure forward. Okay. Who are we going to be dealing with? I think it might be a little obvious. So we have, but we're going to find out. Let's do the whole random thing. So with our character list here, we're now up to a D8 for our characters list. D8, that's a 2. That's going to be in the first batch there. We roll a D10. 3, Gruck. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? What would we be waiting on for Gruck? Well, maybe Gruck's going to have a bit of an interrupt. Let's do that. So our NPC is Gruck. We're waiting on him to do something. Or maybe we're interrupted by him because he does something. So let's find out our meanings tables. That's a 1. Abandon. And the action 2 here. 76. Abandon power. What would Gruck be doing that would bring us to abandon power? Abandon his power over Jack's? Unlikely, unless he's selling off to the highest bidder. But he'd also be pretty mad at Jack, so that's unlikely, I think. The meaning here, that's a tough one. Waiting on an action by Gruck. Abandon power. Let's keep looking for some other ideas here. Whatever. Where's he hell? Abandon power. We have a powers table under the meanings table, or like the elements tables here for. Oops. Realized I probably just killed that. I don't know whether that did anything or not. Probably not. But we do have a meetings table for power. Let's just roll on it, see if what comes up. 55. Imbue. That helps not at all. Almost thinking we need to rejig this and rethink kind of what we're doing with this particular one. Abandoned Power's not really giving me any ideas, but we are waiting on Gruck, or Gruck is going to be going to create the interrupt scene. I'm thinking I'm going to just kind of sleep on this one, and we're going to come back to this. I'm going to just call an end to our session here. We're just a little over half an hour, but I think we're good. Yeah, so take it easy.